Devastating moment. Little girl's heart-wrenching plea to mom. Millionaire bursts in at 3 a.m. The clock struck 3, cutting the night's stillness like a knife, when a faint cry pierced the darkness of the Harrison home. A young girl, no more than 5, stood wide-eyed in her pink footy pajamas, her strawberry blonde curls framing a face washed over with fear and innocence. "Mama, please!" Her voice trembled, breaking the silence with a raw, desperate plea that resonated deep in the quiet house. Shadows danced as a sudden gust of wind rattled the window panes, echoing her unease. Just moments later, the peace shattered further. A black luxury sedan screeched to a halt outside, its headlights piercing the night like spears. The door swung open with a squeal, revealing a figure cloaked in a tailored suit, the glint of his expensive watch shining even in the dark. Macon Wells, the millionaire whose name hummed like an electric current through town, stepped into the chaos that awaited him. He had come drawn by whispers, by dread, by the little girl's voice that seemed to summon him. "I won't let anything happen to you," he muttered, his jaw set tight as he sliced through the oppressive air toward the house. Inside, tension coiled like a spring. Mama, in her faded nightgown, stood frozen in disbelief, her heart racing. The child whimpered, clutching her teddy bear. The air felt heavy, charged, as if the walls themselves held their breath. "What do you want?" Mama's voice quivered, confusion and fear bubbling to the surface. She could hardly fathom why a man like Macon would appear at this hour, at their door, if he was even there for them at all. Macon's piercing gaze was a storm cloud gathering above them. "I know why you're scared," he replied, voice steady yet brimming with urgency. "There's something happening, something that can't wait." In that moment, the room felt smaller, the darkness closing in. Outside, a strange commotion began to rise, strange shadows darting in the flickering streetlight. The girl took a trembling step toward him, her little heart pounding. "Are you here to save us?" she asked, big eyes wide with a mix of hope and fear. "Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect." The pressure in the room thickened as Mama shifted her gaze back to the door. She sensed something dark brewing outside, a brewing storm of uncertainty. "What is it? What's coming?" she asked, her voice a mere whisper now. The little girl clutched tighter onto her teddy, eyes darting between the man and the doorway, her small frame trembling. Macon stepped closer, urgency lining his words like jagged glass. "I can't explain everything now. But I promise you, there are things in motion that threaten everything you hold dear." Suddenly, a loud noise cracked through the air, a burst of chaos that threw the night into disarray. The shadows outside shifted violently, and Mama's heart raced with the realization this was just the beginning. What had he brought with him? As the door began to shake, the little girl's grip on her bear tightened, eyes wide in terror. With that, Macon's expression grew fierce, readying himself, icy fear lurking just below his professional facade. What lay beyond the door? What was he truly hiding? The only thing they knew for sure was this: danger was closing in fast, and the world they knew was about to change forever. The door rattled violently, a relentless pounding echoing through the hallway, drowning out the little girl's fearful whimpers. Mama felt her heart hammer against her chest, a primal instinct urging her to protect her child at all costs. "What do we do?" she breathed, panic grabbing her throat. Macon, his dark eyes glinting like steel, scanned the room as if he were hunting for answers. "Stay close to me," he instructed, inching toward the door. "Whatever is out there, it won't stop unless we face it." Mama swallowed hard, fear twisting her stomach, but she clenched her fists, adrenaline coursing through her veins. She had to be strong for her daughter. "We can't just stand here," she exclaimed, grabbing the girl's tiny hand. "We need to hide." No. Macon snapped, his voice low and commanding. Hiding won't save us. We need to stand our ground. Whatever is coming, it knows no fear. Outside, the cacophony grew louder, a swirling maelstrom of noise filled with shouts and the metallic clang of something heavy. Just then, the window shattered, shards of glass flying like vicious confetti, and a dark figure slipped into the room before they could react. Mama screamed, pulling her daughter behind her. Macon surged forward, his instincts taking over, blocking the intruder's path with a protective stance. Get away from them! The tension in the room escalated to a breaking point, electricity crackling in the air. The figure paused, revealing a face half hidden by shadows and anger. Macon Wells, we've come for what's ours. The intruder's voice was gravelly, drenched in menace. He glanced at the little girl, whose eyes were glued to the horror unfolding before her. And we will stop at nothing. The very air shifted, thick with impending doom. Macon's jaw tightened, and he glanced back at Mama, desperation flashing in his gaze. You have to trust me. Take your daughter and get out through the back. Now. Mama hesitated, her heart torn. How could she leave him? But the sounds outside grew more chaotic, more figures stirring, shadows darting like phantoms against the house's exterior. The child's grip on her bear was almost vice-like. Mama, please don't go, she cried, tears spilling down her cheeks. I want to leave you, Mama insisted, but the reality of the situation crashed down on her like cold water. The man in the doorway was a threat unlike anything she had ever faced. Macon, we need help. Macon shook his head, a somber determination brewing behind his composed exterior. This is my fight. Just go. Find a place to hide, and stay quiet. I'll find you. As the dark figure inched closer, threatening the fragile peace of their sanctuary, Mama felt a swell of emotion, fear cascading through her. She finally relented, tears blurring her vision. Come on, darling, she urged, tugging the girl away as the nightmare took shape around them. But before they could escape, another voice from outside yelled, sharp and demanding. Macon! You can't protect them this time. Macon's eyes darted toward the chaos stirring outside. No! They can't get to you! He shouted, fueling the growing terror that danced invisibly through the air. The outside world all seemed calm, but inside, danger clawed at every shadow. As Mama and her daughter slipped towards the back, Macon stood firm, readying himself for what was to come. He could feel the weight of their lives on his shoulders, every decision a gamble against fate, and then, as he squared his shoulders, the ground trembled, shaking as the enemy made its advance. This is far from over, Macon muttered, steeling himself for the confrontation he had been trying to avoid. Outside, a low chant began to rise, the words foreign yet unmistakably threatening, wrapping around the house like a predator closing in on its prey. With every beat of his heart, the truth clawed its way back to him, revealing the stakes of the night. What did they want? And more dangerously, what hold did they have over him? Realization ignited fear even deeper than before. As the night drew nearer to its catastrophic climax, he knew with chilling clarity, the real fight was only beginning. The chant echoed through the air, slow and methodical, wrapping around the house like an unseen noose, tightening with each repetition. Macon's muscles tensed, an instinct too primal to ignore urging him to react. He glanced back toward the hallway, where the faint sliver of light was swallowed by darkness. He couldn't let them reach his family. Mama and the little girl had padded silently away, but his heart screamed at him to follow. He had to protect them. Yet, as he turned to confront the intruder, shadows loomed closer around him. The figure at the doorway raised a gloved hand, a flicker of something sharp catching the dim light. A blade? His stomach dropped. You don't want this, Macon said, his voice steady despite the rising tension. Whatever you're looking for, leave now, and I won't make this harder for you. A chilling laugh escaped from the figure standing beyond the threshold. You think you have a choice? Dead men don't fight. There was a low growl from the gathering shadows outside, voices rising in a wild chant, relentless and grave. What do you want with me? Macon shouted, pushing back the rising fear within him. He could hear the soft whimpers of the little girl in the distance. Each sob twisted like a knife in his chest. The intruder stepped forward, the light creaking ominously around him. "We want you to come back, Macon. You belong with us. You always have." The figure cocked his head with interest and stepped closer, revealing more of his features. Macon's blood ran cold. He recognized the face someone from his past. Someone he thought he had escaped. "Stay away from them," he spat, his breath quickening. The man smirked, pleasure dancing in his eyes, a look that spoke of histories entwined in darkness. Whatever they wanted from him, it was not just a physical return, it was a tethering of souls, a claim. Macon had no intention of going back. The past was a monster he battled daily, a regret that threatened to swallow him whole if he dared to entertain it again. Just then, the ground shook violently. The shadows recoiled in fear. It was a sign. "Mama!" he shouted, voice booming, knowing they were close to the exit. "Run! Get her out of here!" He could hear the feet scuffle a few doors down, little feet moving fast, but panic soaked up the air. The intruder lunged, a blur of motion, but Macon was ready. He sidestepped at the last moment, rushing forward into the man's path, his body colliding against the encroaching darkness. With a swift kick, he sent the figure stumbling backward. The attack was fueled by anger and desperation. Adrenaline surged through him. But then, the dim light flickered, shadows surged around the room, twisting and churning. Figures beyond the broken window started to loom larger, and Macon could see their eyes hollow, hungry. They were coming for him, and their power hummed with ethereal energy. The chanting grew louder, now a symphony of sinister whispers, insistent and alluring. Almost as if they were calling him, tempting him to surrender. Macon shook his head. He wouldn't yield without a fight. The intruder regained footing, his gaze fierce. "You can't resist forever, Macon. Tonight will decide your fate." Macon felt the pull of his past, the weight of choices he'd made crashing down on him. He needed to end this. He needed to protect Mama and his little girl, even if it meant facing the darkness of his life head-on. But the ground beneath him trembled more violently now, and he realized it wasn't just his fear. Something dark was brewing just outside the walls, ready to claim him and all he held dear. In the chaos and confusion, he could sense it. The final confrontation was looming. He had moments left to make a choice, but what if the price was too high? Would he face the darkness, or would he fall? As the shadows reached out toward the house like grasping hands, the air thick with tension, Macon lifted his chin. "You want a fight? You've got one." But even as he spoke, the ominous chant melded into howls of triumph outside, reverberating in his bones. What if surrender was the only way to save the ones he loved? The room shuddered as the shadows pressed against the walls, their presence a suffocating blanket that stole the breath from Macon's lungs. He was aware of his heartbeat, sharp and frantic, pounding in his ears. The shadows whispered secrets, each word a caress of dread that coiled tighter around him. "Fight or surrender?" he muttered under his breath, a mantra laced with desperation. He had fought to free himself from the chains of his past, but now it threatened to pull him back under, dragging his family down with him. He felt their eyes, the hungry stares of the looming figures waiting beyond the window, probing him like knives. The intruder laughed, a sound that sent icy fingers crawling up Macon's spine. "You'd sacrifice everything for them? What have they ever done for you?" The man stepped closer, exuding confidence while danger rippled off him. Macon could now see the glint of the blade clearly, its surface glimmering like an omen. "More than you ever will," Macon shot back, his voice rising above the chant outside, which thrummed through the house like the beat of a war drum. He felt the ground tremble again, and his skin prickled as if charged with electricity. This couldn't be just a physical fight, it was a clash of wills, a battle for his soul. Another trembling quake threatened to split the earth beneath him. The shadows howled in harmony, and he could discern his little girl's whimper intermingled with the sinister chant. Panic clawed at him, threatening to paralyze him. "No! Mama, get her out!" His body reacted before his mind could catch up. He launched himself at the intruder, fists clenched, adrenaline charging him like a lightning bolt. They collided with a force that felt like a cosmic event, both of them fueled by desperation and fear. If he could just hold him back long enough, the intruder grunted, stumbling into a bookshelf that toppled over, sending a cascade of memories crashing to the ground. Macon didn't waste time. He pushed through the disarray, heart racing faster than ever. "Get out!" he roared into the shadows, hoping against hope for a response from Mama. Then, a sudden silence heavy and suffocating. It enveloped him, pinning him in place. Had they escaped? But the stillness shattered when a voice small and trembling squeezed through the air. "Daddy?" Time froze. Macon's heart dropped into his stomach. "Cora?" Panic surged, every instinct telling him to find her, to shield her from whatever horror was closing in. But the shadows leaned closer, their chant morphing into something like a sinister hum, echoing off the walls. "Just give in!" the intruder sneered, regaining balance. "How can you save them when you can't even save yourself?" In that moment, Macon realized the truth. The man wasn't just an intruder. He was a mirror reflecting Macon's worst fears, failure and darkness. He roared as he shoved the shadow aside, breaking through the wall of dark energy that threatened to suffocate him. His fists flew, the weight of his family's safety igniting a fire deep within him. But then, the shadows surged, forming a thicker layer as they consumed the room. Macon could feel himself slipping, caught in the current of an unseen tide. The chant wrapped around him, pulling at his resolve. They wanted him to break. "I will not fall!" he screamed, yet the darkness wore heavy like chains around his soul. The intruder stepped back, grinning with an unsettling calm. "We'll see how long you last. It's only a matter of time before you choose the darkness." In that chilling moment, Macon felt the truth creeping back in. Every step he took toward saving his family felt heavier, laden with consequence. What if he had to face his past entirely? Would Cora even recognize him anymore? Suddenly, the front door slammed open, the silhouette of Mama standing defiantly against the backdrop of chaos, determination blazing in her eyes. "Macon!" she cried, searching for him through the curtain of shadows, fear and courage intermingling in her voice. With the resurgence of love and steadiness in her call, the shadows flinched. But at what cost? Macon felt desperation clawing at him again. How could he possibly protect them all, when the very shadows that sought to claim him were drawn from his own history? As the weight of the choice loomed heavy in the air, the chant crescendoed into a chaotic frenzy, whispering his name. Would embracing his past be the key to saving his family, or would it seal their fate forever? Macon's heart raced. He could barely catch his breath as he locked eyes with Mama, her form outlined against the doorframe. The light behind her illuminated the shadows that clung to the corners like dark tendrils. Cora's whimper still echoed in his ears, piercing through the roar of chaos. "Mama, please!" he shouted, desperation twisting his voice. "Get Cora out of here!" The intruder laughed again, a dark melody dripping with malice. "Your little girl? In a world like this?" He stepped forward, launching into another calculated taunt. "Love won't protect you, Macon. What good is a parent who can't even face his own demons?" The shadows crawled closer, nearly swallowing Mama whole. Her eyes widened, reflecting fear, but they also sparked with resolve. "I won't let them take us," she declared, her voice unwavering. "Mama!" Cora's voice came again, raw and fearful. The chant grew louder, threatening to drown out the world. Macon could feel the tug of despair closing in, a wild urge to retreat into the darkness creeping into his mind. "No!" he roared, the strength of his will coiling around him like armor. With a burst of adrenaline, he lunged, barreling toward the intruder. In a frantic rush, he needed to break through that wall of shadows and reach Mama. But the intruder anticipated his move, sidestepping with an eerie grace, poised and mocking. "You're running out of time," the man volunteered, his tone so casual it sent chills down Macon's spine. "Darkness is quick to claim those who hesitate." Macon stumbled but regained his footing. Panic surged inside him, twisting like a knife. He fought the urge to give in, to surrender to the shadow's embrace. He glanced back at Mama, her fierce determination set against the impending doom. "Cora!" he cried again, each syllable a plea that cut through the storm. "Daddy!" Her voice was faint, tremulous. The shadows surged ahead, undulating like a living creature. He felt the heat of their malicious intention, an intent to strip him bare. He had waited too long. The moment came crashing down. He couldn't allow himself to slip into despair. Macon dug deep. He spun around to face the intruder, fury igniting within him. "You think you can take me?" He lifted his chin defiantly. "You don't know how far I'll go to save my family." With a scream, he charged, fists clenched. This was it. The shadows recoiled as his fist connected with the intruder's jaw, the impact reverberating through the air like thunder. The man stumbled back, but there was no time to revel in victory. Macon could feel the shadows regrouping, reviving their attack. Suddenly, a piercing scream erupted from the other side of the room. "Dad! Help!" It was Cora, and that horrific sound sliced through him like glass. With a jolt of panic, Macon twisted, desperation pushing him forward. "Cora!" he shouted, helplessness threatening to tear him apart. The world narrowed around him, her voice guiding him like a beacon through the chaos. Mama stepped in front of him, her voice firm and steady. "You have to confront them, Macon. Only you can break this." "Break it? How?" The notion clawed at his mind. He glanced at the shadows. Could they be defeated by accepting what he feared most? Would turning to his past truly set them free, or trap them forever? The shadows seemed to pulse in response, eager for uncertainty. Macon took a shuddering breath, raising his chin higher. "No," he declared. "I won't be afraid anymore." But would that really be enough? The room spun with a menacing energy as the shadows surged around him, determination versus despair. Just then, he felt a tug on his heart, slipping him into a spiral of memory. Would the price of bravery be too high? He pressed forward, forcing through the weight of doubt, but even flames need fuel. How much would he have to sacrifice to protect Cora? And at that moment, the intruder smirked, his voice a smarmy undertone. "Ah, but it's only just beginning, Macon. Let us see how far you're willing to go when the real darkness reveals itself." The air thickened with tension, and fear throbbed like an eighth heartbeat. The knots in Macon's chest tightened, the shadows whispering possibilities, taunting him with what could come next. Could he really save them, or was he already trapped in a nightmare of his own making? Macon's heart thundered like an oncoming storm as he stood amid the shadows creeping closer. He could feel their icy tendrils slithering around him, trying to puncture his resolve, to snake into his mind. "I will fight," he repeated under his breath, a mantra against the encroaching darkness. The intruder's smile widened, a cruel sliver of satisfaction cut from the shadows themselves. "Bravery can be such a charming folly," he taunted, his voice dripping with mockery. "But let us see how far that bravado takes you when the past comes calling." Macon's pulse quickened. Past? What did he mean? Just then, a cacophony of whispers erupted, a chorus from the shadows melding into haunting echoes, the voices of his long-buried fears. They floated around him like lost souls. He clamped his hands over his ears, trying to block them out, but the pain grew sharper, breaking through his defenses. "Your failures, Macon!" The intruder's voice boomed, distorted by the shadows. "Your regrets. They'll swallow you whole." "Shut up!" Macon shouted, not to the man but to the whispers draining his strength. He had made mistakes, yes, ones he couldn't change, but not Cora. He couldn't let darkness claim her. Suddenly, a flicker of light caught his peripheral vision. Mama! She stood resolute, fists clenched, her eyes ablaze with courage. "Macon! You've got to push back. Remember who you are. You're not alone." Her words ignited something within him. He lifted his head, the tendrils of despair retreating slightly at the sound of her faith in him. With every ounce of conviction left in his soul, he shouted, "I won't let anyone hurt my family." The shadows convulsed, shrieking in dismay. They pulled back, morphing and twisting, desperate to regain control. Macon wasted no time. He surged forward, hand reaching for Cora, following the tether of their bond so strong, so bright against the dark void. "Cora! I'm coming!" he yelled, the sound of his voice sharpening the focus of his resolve. He felt the energy shift around him as the shadows recoiled in fear. The intruder stumbled back, momentarily thrown off balance. "Foolish! You can't win against the darkness, Macon. It's seated deep within you." In that breath, a memory hit him hard, flashes of his past filtering back, moments of weakness when he had caved under pressure. He had blamed himself for everything that went wrong, but this was not the past. This was now, and he was stronger. "Mama, help me!" he cried, turning towards her. The shadows crept in around him again, drawing him back, trying to pull him under. But there was a pulse, a warmth from her voice that anchored him. "Find your light," she called back, her expression fierce and fearless. "Remember, the darkness fears the light you carry within." He didn't just hear her, he felt it, the truth rushing through his veins. In that moment, he could almost see the soft glow radiating from within, battling the chill wrapping around him. He had to fight not just for Cora but for himself, drawing on every memory of love, hope, and the small moments of joy throughout his life. Macon grasped that inner light tight, feeding it with purpose. As he stood on that cusp, ready to throw the darkness away, the shadows froze, sensing a shift. "Make your move, Macon," the intruder hissed, his smile faltering. "But know this, a sacrifice will be required." A chill swept through Macon, a knowing dread grazing his spine. Sacrifice? What would it cost him? Just as he considered it, a deafening roar erupted from the shadows, and the shape of something monstrous began to form. He felt a burning flame within him ignite, and as he prepared to face this new threat, a deep question settled in the back of his mind. Could he truly bear the weight of his choice? And as he clutched that flicker of courage, the shadows surged forward, intent on reclaiming their hold. The moment hung there, thick with uncertainty. What was he willing to give to save his family? Would bravery be enough to reshape their fate, or would darkness consume him once and for all? Macon's heart raced as something massive lunged from the depths of the shadows, a hulking figure, its form shifting and twisting like a nightmare given life. He could barely make out a monstrous face, grotesque and full of malice, eyes glowing like embers in a darkened pit. The weight of terror hung over him harder than ever. "Macon!" The voice of his mother cut through the chaos. "Stay strong. You've got to stand up to it." With her words echoing in his head, he squared his shoulders. He had to hold on to that flicker of light inside him. The monstrous shape roared again, a sound that rattled his bones, threatening to drown out everything. With a quick glance toward the figure, he saw it reaching out, dark claws cutting through the air towards him, a clear intent to snatch him into the abyss. "Cora!" he shouted, desperation mingling with determination. He had promised himself to fight, and he was done letting fear dictate his actions. Fueled by the warmth from his mother, he lunged toward the darkness, weaving and dodging as the creature swiped at him like a wild animal. Each step felt monumental, like he was breaking his chains. The shadows howled in furious protest, and for every step he took, flashes of pain flickered through his mind, past failures, guilt, slights, and broken dreams. But now, he anchored his resolve in his love for Cora, a burning desire to protect her at all costs. "Face it, Macon!" the intruder sneered, now standing behind the looming creature. The shadows clung to him, enhancing his dark presence. "You're no hero. You're a coward hiding in your own reflections." Those words stung, but instead of yielding to despair, they sparked an unfamiliar fire within him. He remembered the little moments, Cora's laughter, that first day of school, all the shared summers under the sun. They brought a fierce energy into his heart, a counterbalance against the darkness threatening to smother him. With renewed purpose, he drew nearer to the monstrous figure, stretching out his hand as if he could seize its very essence. "You don't own me!" he shouted defiantly. "You're just a trick of the light." In response, the beast recoiled, as if it had been stung. The shadows surrounding it thrashed wildly, revealing inconsistencies in its shape, flickers of light escaping, as if Macon's conviction was breaking apart the nightmare. "That's it, Macon!" his mom cried, her voice ringing with clarity, bolstering his spirit. "Banish it with your love. Show it you're not afraid." With every ounce of his being, he let the light within him blaze brighter than before. The flicker intensified, shifting from a dim glow into a blinding flame. It poured out, pushing against the tendrils of darkness that still clawed at him. The shadow creature began to tremble, losing its form, becoming less menacing and more fearful. But the intruder laughed a low, chilling sound. "You think mere brightness can vanquish the past? Darkness is eternal, Macon." As those words sunk into him, panic shot through his chest. He gasped, the realization hitting him hard. The darkness didn't just lurk outside, it twisted inside him too. How could he destroy what was born from his own fears? And in that instant of doubt, the monster charged, claws outstretched, intent on burying him in its shadows. Macon felt a chill sweep through his body, and the moment stretched thin as he locked eyes with the beast, fear gripping him once more. Could he find a way to look beyond the darkness? He drew a deep breath, bracing himself for the oncoming storm. As the claws neared him, he steadied his stance, feeling that flicker of love unite with his uncertain heartbeat. Was this the moment to confront not only the monster but also the darker parts of himself? "Macon!" Cora's voice rang out from within the depths. "Believe in yourself. You can do this." His pulse surged again with purpose. The choice stood before him, raw and painful. Could he embrace the sacrifice necessary to save her? He squared his shoulders, lifting his chin as the monster bore down on him. What did he fear losing most? And in that moment, with shadows swirling, Macon understood he had to confront not just the beast but the truth within himself. What was he willing to face? What would it take to truly banish the shadows forever? The creature surged forward, the shadowy claws slicing through the air like a knife. Macon could feel the wind from its movement tugging at his clothes, a desperate reminder of the courage he needed to summon. Everything inside him screamed to retreat, to flee, but he stood firm, heart pounding, breath hitching in his throat. "I'm not afraid of you," he shouted, his own voice strong and resonant, cutting through the monster's roar. "You're nothing but a reflection of my fear." The beast halted abruptly, its glowing eyes narrowing in disbelief. The darkness that surrounded it flickered at the edges, as if unsure where to settle. Macon felt a rush of power coursing through him, charging up from his core. Cora's innocent face flashed in his mind, her wide eyes filled with trust and love. The very thought of her made him shake with determination. Each heartbeat echoed a mantra: for Cora, for courage, for the light. "Cora, I'll save you!" He called out again, the cry a jagged edge against the oppressive silence. Behind him, the familiar shadows of their home loomed ominously, but there was no retreat in his spirit. He had come too far to turn back now. With a fierce battle cry, Macon lunged. The moment his foot hit the ground, a bright light erupted from his outstretched hand, bursting forth like a sunbeam piercing stormy clouds. The brilliance engulfed him, illuminating every crevice of the shadow, revealing the grotesque features of the beast. It screeched, an otherworldly noise twisting into a wail of anguish. The claws faltered, retracting as if burned by the light, and Macon advanced, determination flaring brighter than ever. "You think you can hold me back?" he yelled, the glow radiating around him, illuminating the darkness surrounding both him and the creature. "I'm done hiding. You can't silence me anymore." With that declaration, he poured everything he had into the light, summoning memories of joy, laughter, and bravery. The darkness quivered, flickering like a candle in a powerful gust. As the shadows hissed and recoiled, Macon felt a strange surge of clarity wash over him. He understood the monster's essence. It thrived on fear, regret, and the unvoiced doubts he had burdened himself with for too long. In a wild, furious motion, the beast lunged again, but Macon raised his hand with resolve. "You have no power over me!" he roared. The confrontation tore through his soul, hunting for remnants of fear. Macon could feel the weight of the past pressing against him, the doubts swirling in his head, but he fought back. Memories of Cora's laughter bolstered his fight, reminding him what was at stake. The light around him crackled. He released everything, the darkness writhing violently under the assault. It was a battle of wills, clashing like thunder in a storm. Suddenly, a thought struck him like a bolt from the blue. What if facing the darkness wasn't about banishing it but about accepting it? Then, connecting the dots, he turned his shout inward. I forgive you, I forgive myself. No more shame! No more fear! The shadows writhed and twisted, letting out a guttural roar. The light grew, swallowing dark fragments whole and pushing back against the creature's fierce snarl. But the intruder's mocking voice echoed through the chaos, taunting, You think mere words can save you? They'll only leave you more vulnerable. Macon hesitated. Was he truly ready to forgive? Was he ready to confront his past and answer for all the pain? The howl of the creature hit him like a freight train, almost dragging him down with it. As the shadow began to dissolve into flickering wisps, Macon felt the ground shake beneath him. Was he losing grip on the very battle he had fought to win? Believe in yourself. Cora's voice rang clearer than ever. But just as he thought he was winning, Macon felt the grip of anxiety steal over him again, grasping tighter than the enemy closing in. He looked down, heart racing as he realized he could lose everything at this moment. But maybe, just maybe, this was the moment he had to stand not just for Cora but for himself too. The creature lunged one last time, claws poised to strike, shadows writhing like snakes, and Macon prepared for the ultimate stand. Could he seal his fate with a single act of acceptance? Or would the darkness consume him before he could truly find light? Macon's resolve trembled under the weight of the creature's final assault. He felt the shadows crashing against him, a wave of oppressive dread set to drown him in despair. The beast snarled, jaws snapping inches from his face, teeth as sharp as daggers. Yet every inch of fear that wrapped around him was met with the bright pulse of his light, pushing back against the chaos. I refuse to be afraid. He shouted again, feeling the primal energy course through his bones. This time, his voice rang with certainty, cutting through the monstrous growl. You are nothing more than a shadow. I choose the light. The shadows howled as if the very sound were a weapon, and Macon braced himself against the pain it brought. He could see the remnants of his fear trying to claw their way back into his heart, manifesting in his mind's eye as memories he had long buried. Images of failure, the sound of Cora's laughter dissolving into tears, and whispers of worthlessness formed a tempest in his thoughts. He clenched his fists, urging the light to burn brighter, to take in all that he had ever feared. What if he could transform this dread into strength? What if he could turn his pain into something more radiant? Mistakes don't define me, Macon bellowed. I'm not just my regrets. With every word, he felt the shadows retreating, the claws retracting slightly, burned by the brightness that now streamed from him like a river of sun. The ground trembled again, but he stood firm, harnessing the growing hope blooming inside him. Just then, a fracture in the air parted, and through the radiant fissure, glimpses of Cora's fearful eyes came into view, shining like stars. Daddy! She cried, a wail echoing through the chaos. Help me! I'm scared. The sight of her pierced him like an arrow. The urgency of her plea shot right into the core of his heart. That's what this was all about. Fear. Chaos. Love. He had to summon every ounce of strength not just for himself but to reach her across the chasm of despair that threatened to swallow them both. Cora, I'm coming. I won't let you down. Macon shouted, the words blazing forth like a sonic boom. His determination solidified into something tangible, wrapping around him like armor. The light surged forth, brighter than ever before, flooding the space with a dazzling warmth that fought back the darkness with fierce courage. The beast recoiled, its form twisting unnaturally, losing definition, melding like smoke in the air. Macon pushed with all his heart, each pulse of light swallowing the shadow, inch by inch. You will not take her from me. With one final, resonant cry, he directed everything he had into a single flash of brilliance. A blinding wave cascaded over the monster, enveloping it completely. The creature's screech pierced the night, a mix of fury and fear. In its swirling darkness, Macon saw flickers of his own pain, sorrow, and regret dissolving into nothingness. But just as he thought he had drawn all the darkness from within, the beast twisted and let out an ear-splitting howl, a chasm of despair clawing beneath the surface. The darkness didn't just vanish, it coiled back with a vengeance, ready for one final stand. It morphed, reshaping itself, embodying something more sinister, a reflection of his deepest insecurities. "Your past is your enemy," it hissed, its voice slithering like ice through the air. "You will never escape it." Macon staggered back, heart hammering, doubt inching into his chest like poison. Could he really rise against this? Was the fight worth it if he was haunted forever? Breathless and grasping in the tightness of fear, he found himself at a critical juncture. The shadows loomed large once more, taunting him with everything he had tried to outrun. With Cora's face etched in his mind and heart, he thought, "This is it. Face it, Macon. Accept it." The beast loomed before him, a mirror reflecting the darkness of his past, and as he took those steps, ready to confront the truth within himself, the air thickened with anticipation. What would rise from the acceptance? A climactic showdown was brewing, and the dawn awaited. Would his courage shatter the chains of regret once and for all, or was this the end of the road the moment he fell to the ground, consumed by shadows? The darkness swirled around them, an ominous storm cloud pressing down against the walls of the Harrison home. Macon felt its weight, suffocating and cold, threatening to pull him back into the suffocating grasp of fear. This was it. He had to confront it, to face not just the beast before him, but the very shadows of his own life. The creature snarled, eyes gleaming with a hatred that cut through the air like ice. "You think you can resist? You think you can outrun your past?" It hissed, claws extended, ready to lunge. Macon's heart raced, each thump echoing like a war drum, charging his spirit. "I want to back down," Macon shouted, channeling every ounce of defiance he had. The sound of Cora's terrified voice punctured the chaos. "Daddy, please!" She was close. He could feel her presence surrounding him like a lifeline. Macon's resolve strengthened. He pushed a breath deep into his lungs. It was time to claw back control, to wrestle with the thoughts and failures that threatened to swallow him whole. The memories surged, a tapestry of everything that had haunted him. But stronger than that darkness was the love for his family, clearer than ever. With every ounce of courage, he shouted, "I love my daughter. I won't let you take her from me. You are nothing without the fear you instill." Light burst forth from him, an explosion of warmth that cut through the shadows. It swirled around him like a protective cocoon, igniting fear in its wake. The creature faltered, momentarily stunned as the brilliance bore down on it. Macon stepped forward, each moment filled with purpose. "I forgive my past. I own my mistakes," he declared fiercely. "You have stranglehold over my heart no more." The shadows shrieked, recoiling as tendrils curled, flickering like dying embers in the face of a blazing sun. Macon drew in strength, stoking the fire within. He remembered the sweetness of Cora's laughter, the warmth of his mother's embrace, all of the hope they brought into his life. With each thought, the light grew brighter, illuminating the space around him. "Your fear cannot dictate my fate," Macon bellowed. The shadows twisted violently, the beast snarled and writhed, thrashing against the boundaries of the brilliance invading its darkness. "I will never be owned by you." Macon took another step forward, pushing through each wave of resistance. The darkness fell away as the light poured in, the weight lifting, a solid barrier forming against the creature's grotesque form. "Your past is a lesson, not a chain," he yelled, pushing deeper into the fracturing dark. Each syllable ignited flames in the shadows, unraveling the threads tethering it to him. The beast collapsed, twisting into shapes too warped to maintain its form. Then, the darkness screeched an echo of heartbreak that rattled through the very air. "You'll pay for this, Macon! You can't break what was born from you." But as the shadows reared, Macon steadied. "No, you're wrong. I am reborn in light." A radiant glow exploded from him, wrapping around the entire room, exploding the darkness, sending it scattering like leaves before a gale. And as the dark creature screamed, Macon's heart thundered with clarity. He realized the truth: the shadows only had as much power as he allowed them. With a final surge, he thrust his hand toward the beast, pouring every ounce of love and light into that single moment. You have no hold on me. I am more than my past. The darkness erupted into a million shards that sparkled before dissolving into the night air, leaving only silence in their wake. The house fell still. Macon staggered, breathless and spent. But he was whole. He felt it. The room, once laden with heavy darkness, was filled with brilliant light and a gentle warmth. He turned, scanning the room for Cora and Mama. Are you okay? From the shadows of the door, Mama emerged, tears brimming in her eyes, pulling Cora close. We're here. We're safe. Laughter erupted from Cora, her small voice shimmering with relief. Daddy, you did it! She rushed into his arms, and in that moment, Macon felt the weight of the world lift from his shoulders. I told you, we'd face this together, he whispered, pulling Cora tightly against him, Mama wrapping her arms around both. In that suffocating dark, they had become a beacon, an illuminating family bound by love. As dawn broke, light flooded the room, washing away the remnants of the night like dirt from a window. With a soft smile, Macon looked around. Whatever comes next, we'll face it together. No more shadows. Only light. And as the sun rose, all traces of fear faded, illuminating their new beginning, together at long last. If you've enjoyed this story and want to be part of many more like it, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to help the algorithm out. We rely on you. Flood the comments section with your reactions about the thrilling conclusion. What did you think? Let's connect. I want to hear from you. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Real fans know the importance of supporting the channel.